The latest there in Pretoria.
Well, certainly, Elvis, the society and what society has been saying about this case certainly did come out very strongly in the Oscar Pistorius trial, and that Judge Masipa, when she was handing down a sentence, did say that she needs to take into account, of course, what society would think, that society needs to remain, they should continue to think that, the courts in this country are able to deal, with people who do commit serious crimes in this country. But of course, she did say having to take that into account, she needed to be careful in doing so, in that society doesn't always get what it needs. But let's speak to some people from Pretoria who've been standing out here for a couple of hours listening on the radio, the several cars that have been parked outside here on the streets in Masipa Street. Sir, let's get your reaction first of all to Judge Thokozile Masipa's sentence.
I think Judge Thokozile Masipa's sentence was too lenient on Oscar Pistorius due to the fact that she started changing the thing of premeditated murder into culpable homicide. Then I saw that this thing is a very serious crime. Oscar Pistorius deserves to be charged with premeditated murder and then go to 25 years in jail, not 5 years. 5 years was too lenient with 18 months inside. I think this was not fair, especially to the Reeva Steenkamp family and to the people of South Africa, especially women. This is not fair. I think they should reconsider this sentence to be life sentence.
All right, thank you very much for your time. Let's bring you in, Cece. Let's get your thoughts on what, what do you think of the sentence that was meted out against Oscar Pistorius today?
I feel like the sentence is quite disappointing, and especially like my fellow men said, for the women in South Africa. But now I feel like also we have to be able to show the society and especially our youth that firearms and all of the stuff, you're not supposed to be using them recklessly. And also, what I feel like Oscar Pistorius, the sentence that he got, it's not quite fair. It's a little bit lenient, but nonetheless, I'm just glad that he is going to jail and he's going to be serving a certain sentence.
Thank you very much for your time. Let's bring some more of the people here on the streets of Pretoria. Your reaction, first of all, ma'am, to the sentence that was meted out today?
My reaction is very disappointing. I don't feel like it's fair enough to even the family. It's not about the money. I think in South Africa it's about justice. If you have money, you'll be less in jail. But to me, it's not fair, especially as women. These things happen each and every day, each and every hour, but still in South Africa there's no justice. I don't think it's enough. So to me, it's very disappointing. Thank
you very much. Let me bring Cece, thanks for your time as well. As a woman in South Africa, are you at all consoled by today's sentence here at the North Gauteng High Court?
I just think that it's very disappointing for the fact that they gave him 5 years, which is very, very lenient for him. If a pregnant woman can go to jail for 15 years, why can't he do the same? A lot of women are disappointed. We feel sorry for the family. But for the mere fact that he got 15 years, I think he should have stuck to the premeditated murder, not for the homicide case.
All right, just to bring you up to speed there before I bring my colleague Mongaba Mchunu in there, we understand that the Pistorius family will be having a press conference at 12 o'clock, not too far here from the court. Certainly we look to see what they will be saying about the sentence that Judge Thokozile Masipa has handed down. Bringing now in my colleague, my partner in crime for the past 18 months, Mangcoba Mchunu. Thank you very much for your time. Mangcoba, certainly it's been 18 months. We've been outside this court. It's been exhausting, and finally some finality in this matter. Was it all surprising to see the reaction from so many people after Judge Masipa had handed down that sentence?
Well, certainly, Chriselle, it's been a really interesting 18 months, as we've sat in this court, to really unravel what really happened at Oscar Pistorius' home on February 14. That's Valentine's Day last year. We've been part of the emotions that have been in court. We've been part of all the revelations that have come into court. So certainly also surprising to see what Judge Masipa handed down today. We're all surprised, taken by surprise, because as many had speculated that Oscar Pistorius would get maybe correctional supervision or a lighter sentence for that matter. So it really took us by surprise when Judge Thokozile Masipa made that ruling that Oscar Pistorius should do time in jail. And also certainly the surprises that we saw in the gallery, the family of Oscar Pistorius not even wanting to comment afterwards, not even wanting to talk to the media, all of that, it took us all by surprise. And Oscar himself being taken into the cells is something that we didn't anticipate would happen by the end of today.
Certainly, going from a global icon to somebody in handcuffs now, we also understand from correctional services that he will be taken to Masipa, a prison which is not too far from here in Pretoria, of course. But, inside court, when it all probably started to hit home, was the graphic images that we saw beamed inside court. One picture of a beautiful aspirant model, and then one of a bloodied skull, a beautiful woman whose life was cut short.
Certainly, Griselda, obviously here, what the state was trying to show really is the impact that this shooting had. Firstly, on Reeva Steenkamp, how bad she was hurt, how bad she was injured during this killing, and how negligent really Oscar Pistorius' actions were that led to this painful death of Reeva Steenkamp. Certainly that picture shocking to the world and shocking to people inside court, but it really displayed the impact of that particular crime that Oscar Pistorius committed, and also gave us an indication really of the suffering that the family had gone through, what they had experienced, what they had seen from that scene, and how this really has affected them and how it's left them with that hurt in their family. So obviously this sentence, many have said that they think that while it's not a harsh sentence, but it is a sentence that they would say is kind of fair. Even June Steenkamp herself saying that she thinks that the sentence is kind of fair. Barry Steenkamp obviously saying that his feelings is that he's just glad that this is all over. So certainly we've seen a lot of emotion coming out from this.
We could also say, the first time that, Reeva Steenkamp's voice would have come out in all of this is when we saw Kim Martin, her cousin, speaking out in court, giving testimony. She says she first held Reeva Steenkamp when she was a baby. So she's grown with Reeva Steenkamp, and the emotions that these families shared, how devastating this was for the Steenkamp family. While the Oscar Pistorius has been a permanent figure on the lips of many journalists here, would you say maybe that the Steenkamps were forgotten in all of this, that it wasn't enough of Reeva's voice that came out in this?
Well, certainly, Griselda, since this trial started, what we've heard is Oscar Pistorius' side. What we've heard, the only person who was also who was there during that crime when it was committed was Oscar Pistorius. The only other person who was also there is Reeva Steenkamp, who happens to be dead. So basically, we've always heard what Oscar Pistorius said happened. We've always sympathized with Oscar Pistorius. We've always seen Oscar Pistorius' tears. And for the first time when Kim Martin took the stand, that's when we really got to understand the Steenkamp's suffering, the Steenkamp's pain, the Steenkamp's loss and sorrow. We first got to understand how this affected them on the day it happened and how it has affected them. As Kim Martin said, that the family has suffered strokes, the family has suffered severely, going even through therapy and going through psychological help due to this incident. So really for the first time we got to see the Steenkamp suffering and pain in all of this, and really to hear the voice of Reeva Steenkamp, as Kim Martin said, that she is representing the voice of Reeva Steenkamp, and she is calling for justice for Reeva Steenkamp. So really it was interesting that in the end, when we're summing up all of this, when it comes to the sentencing, we got to finally hear what the Steenkamps are saying about this.
All right. Certainly, Mangobo, when we got to see it all unravel against Oscar Pistorius this morning was when Judge Masipa started pointing to the fact that, she could not see us through the testimonies of the defense witnesses that were brought in the closing arguments, Annette Vergeer as well as Joel Maringa. Of course, that's speaking very much to whether the very facility that Oscar Pistorius will go to today, the correctional facility, the prison that he will go to, Masipa, of course, will be able to house him. When she said, Annette Vergeer, for example, her facts were outdated. She was unbelievable. She went on to say that her testimony was disappointing. Is that when we really began to see it unravel for Oscar Pistorius?
Certainly, Griselda, we started seeing the signs that, Judge Masipa is not going to be lenient in this sentence, when she really did say that she does think that correctional supervision is not a sufficient sentence for Oscar Pistorius, saying that the evidence of Vergeer, the probation officer, she's not going to take as evidence that is correct and that is accurate. She says that she thinks, in fact, that she was irresponsible in a manner of putting together her report, even saying that Joel Maringa as well, while she does believe his evidence and she does believe that he was genuine, but she does not think that this is an appropriate sentence for Oscar Pistorius. Obviously also putting faith on the country's criminal justice system, saying that really they can cater for people with disabilities. We know that the defense had claimed that they cannot, and that Oscar simply would not be able to cope inside prison. So this ruling obviously says that the courts do have faith in the correctional services of the country, and that they do believe that Oscar Pistorius should not get a linear sentence, and in fact that he should pay for the crime that he did. And then Judge Masipa correctly saying that she thinks that even a longer sentence for Oscar Pistorius would not be just and fair. So the 5 years that she's given him, she thinks will be an appropriate sentence for Oscar Pistorius.
Certainly also the pressure that it's put on South Africa with our liberal constitution praised around the world for the South African justice system, or justice in this matter, to be seen, to be done, in that, number one, as you rightly point out, Judge Masipa saying that she believes that significant strides have been made, while not perfect. The prison system in South Africa, is where it should be. A lot of work can still be done. But, in terms of the justice system in South Africa, what do you think this says? There's been a lot of speculation about what Judge Thokozile Masipa was going to do here this morning in terms of the sentence that she handed down.
Obviously, Christella is saying that to South Africans that the law is not only favoring those who are rich or those who have the means. It's saying that the law caters for the layman on the street as well as those in higher positions. So it's basically saying the law will not prejudice anyone or will not favor anybody because of their status. So the message here that Judge Thokozile Masipa says, obviously, that the interests of society will have to be taken into factor. That society thinks that a person who has committed such a crime should be punished. Therefore, the judge saying that we must also satisfy society, and therefore hope that the sentence that we give will obviously speak to that, what society wants, what society needs, to offer some sort of a punishment, but at the same time also offer some sort of restoration in terms of the sentence that's been given, and obviously hoping that Oscar Pistorius will be rehabilitated in some sort of way while he's in prison, and also learn from his mistakes while he's in prison. So that 5-year sentence, Judge Masipa thinks, is what really would suit society, the interests of society, as well as that of Oscar Pistorius.
Let me just get your views, although you're not a brand expert, but whether Oscar Pistorius will be able to recover. We had a testimony inside court. Some say that Oscar Pistorius would return to the track. Some saying that had not been in his plans, that he was going to retire in 2017. He had made his money. But, would Oscar Pistorius be able to recover from this? Is there any future for Oscar Pistorius even after perhaps he served that sentence?
Well, it's difficult to say at this stage because even as the trial was concluded, his side, Oscar Pistorius' family, his lawyers will not be able to give the court exact answers if he will continue with his career. So certainly it will be a hard one because, he has taken a knock in terms of his brand. He has taken a knock in terms of sponsors, and even going back to compete. We will go back with that daunting image that he caused the death of his girlfriend, negligently caused the death of his girlfriend. So it's not really an easy image to get rid of for Oscar Pistorius. It really will take a lot of time and a lot of years to actually recover from this. But judging from what his family and his coaches said, that they are willing to take him back should he want to go to the track. We've even heard the Sporting Association saying that if Oscar Pistorius has done his time, he can always come back and they will take him back. So obviously it remains to be seen whether really he can recover from this. But for now, as it looks, he's really taken a bad knock in terms of his branding and his career.
What was the reaction when Oscar Pistorius was moved from where he had initially been sitting to the holding cells? Was there a different reaction? We saw him, we'd been monitoring him very closely, and he had absolutely no emotion. He sat there stone-faced. We were even trying to discuss whether he was in a daze, whether he was on tranquilizers, what exactly was it, from the point when he stood up there and went and was taken down to the holding cells.
certainly Oscar Pistorius today, from the time he entered court, from the time he walked into North Gauteng High Court, he looked in a daze, he looked stone-faced, he didn't show any emotions. So when that sentence was handed, we could see the shock from his family. I mean, his uncles and his sisters were shocked. At one point, Amy Pistorius was holding her face, showing that shock and that they really didn't expect Oscar Pistorius to go down in this manner. So certainly we saw a lot of shock and disbelief from the family side with regards to Oscar Pistorius being given the sentence and being taken down. And obviously he also didn't show any emotions from the point that this was announced until he was taken down to the cells.
With all that reaction, of course, coming from the Pistoriuses inside court, we're also expecting, the Pistoriuses to hold a press conference at 12 o'clock today. Basically, they'll say what it is they think of the sentence handed down by Judge Thokozile Masipa. Undoubtedly, they would express some sort of disappointment there as well. I'm trying to hear from our producers at this point where we are going next. Let me have... look right here. You'd see one of the women right there towards my left as well. That's an interview the SABC is conducting there with the ex-girlfriend of Oscar Pistorius, Samantha Taylor. You would recall that she was very scathing in her testimony against Oscar Pistorius, accusing him of being abusive. You'd be able to see Samantha Taylor there chatting to my colleague. She has all smiles on her face. We'll hear just a little bit later if she is able to at all at this stage. Maybe we can have a chance to speak to her as well. We're going to be speaking in a few minutes, Elvis, to Samantha Taylor, who is the ex-girlfriend of Oscar Pistorius. She's just making her way up to this structure that we have set up here at this stage. If you're just able to bear with us there for a few minutes. Of course, you would recall, she had initially spoken about Oscar Pistorius. She was also in the vehicle at the time when there were allegations made that Oscar Pistorius had shot through the sunroof of a moving car. She's just making her way up here at the moment, and certainly we'll get reaction from her on what her take is on that. Samantha Taylor joining us now here on SABC News. Samantha, if you could kindly apologize to our viewers there as well for live television. Samantha, thank you very much for your time this morning. Let me get your reaction first of all to Judge Thokozile Masipa's sentence today.
It's been a very long journey. This whole court case has been very strenuous and very stressful. I really hope that my reaction, I think the reaction of Reeva and her parents and her friends, I hope that they feel that justice has been served.
All right. Do you regret any of the time that you spent with Oscar Pistorius?
I don't regret anything in life. I think our relationship, it had its ups and downs, and I was with him for a reason, and we ended for a reason.
All right. Do you have any ill feelings towards him? I know that, in your testimony here inside the North Gauteng High Court, you didn't paint a very rosy picture of what your relationship was at the time.
When I testified, I was very shocked, and of course, having a breakup, you're angry and you're in pain. And I think I've come a long way where, I also need to move on with my own life. So I think, if anything, it's given me closure and everyone else closure to just put the past behind us.
You're also very supportive over the past few days. I saw you sitting with Mark Batchelor as well as with Jared Mortimer. You also, as I can see here, you've got a picture of Reeva Steenkamp just pinned to your clothes. What has it been like for you sitting there in the last days of this trial?
It's a very scary feeling sitting there in front of my ex-boyfriend who is on trial and being sentenced. I came here for the support of Reeva and her family and women all around the world. I think, there needs to be a really big emphasis on women and abused women especially. Having Mark Batchelor and Jared Mortimer and all those men with me there, they were very supportive, and I appreciate their support throughout this whole trial. They have been amazing support for Reeva and for her family.
What would your response be to some who might say that you've just been the bitter ex-girlfriend and that this was your way at getting back at Oscar Pistorius?
I really don't care what anyone else has to say. I think I came to court for my own reasons, and I came here for Reeva. I think Reeva and I experienced a lot of the same things in our relationship, and I felt that I needed to stand up, and if I didn't, I would never have the chance to.
Have you forgiven Oscar Pistorius for what you said inside court, that he didn't treat you well?
Do you know, when something hurts you, you can't just forgive. But I think I'm moving on with my own life.
All right, Samantha Taylor there. Thank you very much for your time speaking to Samantha Taylor, the ex-girlfriend of Oscar Pistorius, certainly saying that in her time she would be able to forgive him. It's been difficult for her. You'd recall, of course, that she did testify here during the trial and didn't have very rosy words to say about Oscar Pistorius, but she's saying she's here for Reeva Steenkamp and here to support the Steenkamps. I'll give it back to you in studio at the moment, Elvis.
Thank you, Griselda. Now,